A rainbow of hope. Lily spread the checkered cloth, its ruby and ivory pattern a bold statement against the park's somber verdancy. Her drawings followed, each a splash of pigment against the weathered planks of the folding table. Fantastic creatures, swirling nebulas, dragons exhaling showers of iridescence. Each canvas revealed a vibrant, boundless inner world. This was it. Today, she hoped the spectrum within her could yield the financial lifeline she desperately needed. She smoothed the art for Chemo tea, a gift from Maya, now adorned with flamboyant, glitter-glued lettering, a touch of whimsical rebellion against her stark circumstances. She straightened the rainbow-lettered sign and perched on a nearby bench, legs dangling. The late morning sun kissed her face, a welcome warmth against the bone-deep chill she'd become accustomed to. A woman paused with a stroller, her toddler jabbing a pudgy digit at a unicorn dancing amidst a lollipop field. "How precious!" the woman chirped before abruptly veering away, murmuring about sugar intake and cavities. Lily's smile wavered, but she quickly rebounded, reminding herself that lollipop artistry wasn't for everyone. Next, a gentleman with a booming guffaw and a waxed mustache halted before a watercolor depicting a cityscape shimmering under a star-strewn firmament. "Quite the prodigy," he announced, loud enough to send a squirrel spiraling up an oak. "Reminds me of Van Gogh channeled through urban landscapes." Pride swelled in Lily's chest. "What's your price for this one?" $10, she breathed. He chuckled, a resonant sound from his diaphragm. $10? For a work like this? I'll give you $5. Lily hesitated. $5 offered more than nothing. Yet this particular painting, this one resonated deeply. It was the city she yearned to inhabit, a haven for creativity, music, and limitless chances. "It took me a while to create," she said, her voice gaining strength. "And the supplies weren't free." He shrugged. "Five's my top bid. Take it or leave it." He winked and strolled off, leaving Lily feeling drained. A few more passers-by paused, glanced, and continued their stroll. One woman lauded her talent, but lamented her need for a new washing machine. A teenager snapped a photo of a dragon with his smartphone, offering no compensation. The sun climbed, and the park buzzed with the joyous sounds of children and canines, a vital concert of existence that felt simultaneously comforting and achingly remote. Lily strived for optimism. She rearranged her creations, adding a fresh shimmer of sparkle to the dragon's wings. She rehearsed her sales speech internally, infusing it with escalating enthusiasm. She even hummed a sprightly tune, though it emerged as a melancholic murmur. As afternoon bled into evening, the crowds thinned. Shadows stretched across the lawn like elongated, judgmental figures. Lily started gathering her unsold pieces. The butterflies seemed to sag, the nebulas dimmed, the dragons lost their fiery spirit. With a heavy heart, she tallied her meager gains. $3.75. Enough for a small pack of sweets, perhaps. Certainly insufficient for chemotherapy. A knot formed in her throat, and tears stung her eyes. She blinked them away, refusing to succumb. Tears wouldn't help her plight, nor could they procure her vital medicines. She carefully folded the checkered cloth, its vibrant squares now mocking her with their gaiety. Turning to leave, a crumpled paper slipped from her pocket. It was a sketch by Maya, a caricature of Lily as a superhero, brandishing a paintbrush like a sword. Beneath it, Maya had scrawled, "Lily Rodriguez, Art Avenger, fighting cancer with color." Lily managed a faint smile. Maya always knew how to brighten her spirits, even when hope felt distant. Perhaps she wasn't a superhero, but she was undoubtedly an artist. And just maybe, her art could still have impact. She simply needed to connect with the right patron, someone who recognized the brilliant spectrum within her and valued it accordingly. The battle remained, even as twilight threatened to engulf her aspirations. Bluebird of encouragement. Lily dipped her brush into a vibrant pool of cerulean blue, the color mirroring the summer sky of her childhood. She remembered sitting on a faded floral blanket in the park with her mother, both of them hunched over sketchpads, capturing the fluttering dance of butterflies. Her mother, with her kind eyes and paint-stained fingers, always encouraged her, even when Lily's butterflies looked more like lopsided blobs. Every stroke tells a story, mi hija, she'd say, her voice a warm melody against the rustling leaves. That memory, a splash of sunshine in her current reality, fueled her as she added a whimsical swirl to the background of her latest painting, a bluebird perched on a blossoming branch. She'd been working on it for days, pouring all her hope and longing into its vibrant feathers. Hope for a future where the ache in her bones wasn't a constant companion, longing for the simple joy of running through fields of wildflowers again. Mr. Grumbly shuffled into the park, his face a thundercloud threatening to unleash a downpour. He stopped abruptly in front of Lily's makeshift display, his gaze sweeping over her colorful canvases with thinly veiled disdain. Lily's heart sank. She knew he didn't approve of her art. He cleared his throat, a sound like gravel grinding against stone. More frivolity, I see, he grumbled, his eyes narrowed. Don't you think, young lady, you should be focusing on something with substance? Something that reflects the true suffering of the world, not these cartoonish fantasies. Lily's hand trembled, the brush threatening to spill its precious blue. I just want to bring a little joy, she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. Joy, he scoffed. Joy is a fleeting illusion. Art should challenge, provoke, not coddle. These bright colors and simple subjects, they're childish. You have a spark of talent, perhaps, but you're wasting it on this nonsense. His words, like shards of ice, pierced the fragile bubble of her optimism. The cerulean blue on her brush suddenly seemed dull, lifeless. The bluebird, once a symbol of hope, now looked like a pathetic imitation of the real thing. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes, blurring the vibrant colors of her paintings. She wanted to defend herself, to explain the solace she found in her art, the way it helped her escape the harsh realities of her illness, but the words caught in her throat. Just then, a woman with kind eyes and a warm smile approached the display. She wore a simple cotton dress and carried a woven bag slung over her shoulder. She paused in front of the bluebird painting, her gaze softening. "Oh, this is lovely," she said, her voice a gentle breeze. "It reminds me of my grandmother's garden. She always loved bluebirds." She turned to Lily. "Did you paint this?" Lily nodded, still reeling from Mr. Grumbly's harsh critique. She couldn't bring herself to meet the woman's gaze. "It's absolutely beautiful," the woman continued. "I'd love to buy it." Lily looked up, surprised. "Really? Absolutely. How much are you asking?" Lily quoted a price, her voice still unsteady. The woman smiled and handed her the money. "Thank you," she said. "This will bring a lot of joy to my home." She paused, her gaze meeting Lily's. "Don't let anyone tell you your art is frivolous or unimportant. It's a gift, a way to share your unique perspective with the world. Keep painting, dear. The world needs more beauty, more hope." With a final, encouraging smile, the woman walked away, clutching the bluebird painting to her chest. Lily watched her go, a tiny spark of hope flickering within her. Mr. Grumbly cleared his throat again, but this time, Lily didn't flinch. She looked at the cerulean blue on her palette, and it seemed a little brighter now. Perhaps, just perhaps, her bluebird of encouragement had flown. Friends to the rescue. The high-pitched trill of bicycle bells sliced through Lily's despondency. Only then did she realize the rigid set of her shoulders, a knot of tension anchoring itself in her neck as she straightened. Sam, ever the flamboyant entrance maker, navigated the afternoon throng on his antique Schwinn, its basket brimming with an improbable collection of snacks threatening to spill with every wobble. "Emergency rations deployed," he declared, dismounting with a comedian's flourish that nearly sacrificed a king-size bag of cheese curls. Clad in his signature ensemble, a well-worn Pixies tee and distressed denim, dark hair a defiant halo around his backward cap, he looked every inch the harbinger of chaos and comfort, bearing fuel and emotional reinforcements. Lily offered a wan smile. You brought enough sugar to jumpstart a small nation's economy. Precisely. We're locked in combat. Lily pad, a battle against creative paralysis. A playful wink punctuated his words as he began to unload his cargo. Chocolate bars, salty chips, a six-pack of ginger ale, and, unbelievably, a stash of her mom's savory empanadas. Clearly, a raid on her refrigerator had occurred. Again. You shouldn't have, she murmured, but a warmth unfurled inside her, chasing away the chill. Nonsense. You looked moments away from grinding your soul into charcoal for a self-portrait of despair. He indicated her slumped figure. Besides, Mrs. Henderson was about to launch into another round of algebraic torture. I'm convinced she's actively trying to deflate the collective IQ of the student body. A chuckle escaped Lily, a brighter sound than she'd managed all day. You're going to flunk if you keep ditching. Minor casualties. Besides, he leaned in conspiratorially, a failing grade is a pittance to pay in the grand scheme of artistic liberation. He swept a hand toward the canvases on the easel. The world craves your vision, Lily. Equations? Debatable. He conjured a collapsible stool from the depths of his backpack and settled him beside her, offering her an open can of ginger ale. All right, lay it on me. What's got you resembling someone who lost a staring match with a basilisk? She hesitated, then the words tumbled out. The sting of slow sales, the barbed comments from the woman with the poodle, the insidious tendrils of self-doubt that threatened to suffocate her. Sam listened with unwavering attention, demolishing an empanada as she spoke. When she finished, there were no trite platitudes, no hollow reassurances. Instead, he offered, that woman cerebrally challenged. Her pampered mutt probably possesses a more refined aesthetic sense. Genuine laughter bubbled up, shaking off the accumulated gloom. But seriously, Sam stated, his tone shifting to earnest, there will always be naysayers. It's practically guaranteed by the universe's terms and conditions. Don't let them poison you. You're Lily Rodriguez. You conjure worlds with a brush. Remember when you transformed Mr. Abernathy's prized pug into a canine version of Marie Antoinette? Legendary. He wasn't thrilled. Lily reminded him, amusement dancing in her eyes. Inconsequential. You're extraordinary and destined for greatness. He paused, his voice softening. Scratch that. You're already achieving greatness. Don't lose sight of what fuels you, Lilypad. A comfortable quiet descended, punctuated only by the city's ambient hum. Lily watched the ebb and flow of pedestrians, noticing the interplay of light and shadow on the buildings, the intricate mosaic of the cobblestones. Suddenly, the world seemed to regain some of its luster, a glimmer of hope rekindled. Remember that Florentine art school we fantasized about? Sam prompted, breaking the spell. Lily nodded, a nostalgic smile gracing her lips. It felt like a distant dream from a life lived before the storm. We're still heading there, right? Sam pressed, his gaze unwavering. We're still going to capture the Tuscan hills on canvas, gorge ourselves on pasta, and ascend to the pantheon of artistic immortals. Just like we planned. Lily met his eyes, truly saw him, the unwavering faith radiating from within. He was more than just a companion. He was her anchor, the rope thrown to pull her from the depths. He was a living reminder of her identity, her desires, the future she was still determined to claim. Yeah, she affirmed, her voice ringing with newfound strength. Yeah, we're still going. The storm. The first fat drops splattered on the cobblestones, dark kisses blooming across the dusty surface. Lily looked up, a frown etching itself onto her usually smooth brow. The sky, moments before a cheerful azure, had curdled into a bruised purple. That's not good, Sam muttered, his gaze fixed on the rapidly darkening horizon. He wrung his hands, a nervous habit Lily found both endearing and mildly irritating. We should probably pack up, Lily. Now. Lily hesitated, her eyes scanning the small crowd that had gathered around her makeshift gallery. A few potential buyers lingered, their faces reflecting the conflicted emotions of wanting art and fearing a drenching. She'd almost closed the sale on the vibrant hummingbird piece, and the thought of losing that chance stung. "Give it a minute," she said, her voice a touch too bright. "Maybe it'll pass." Sam wasn't convinced. "Lily, that looks like more than a sprinkle. That looks like a biblical deluge." He pointed to a flash of lightning that illuminated the approaching storm clouds. The wind picked up, whipping strands of Lily's hair across her face and sending a shiver down her spine. He was right. A minute stretched into an eternity as the first drops escalated into a torrent. People scattered, their cheerful chatter replaced by frantic shouts and the thud of running feet. Lily's potential buyers vanished like ghosts. Okay, you were right," Lily conceded, her optimism finally cracking. Panic flickered in her eyes as she surveyed her paintings, each one a precious piece of her soul rendered in acrylics. "The blanket. Where's the blanket?" Sam was already rummaging through the tote bag at her feet. He yanked out the old, patchwork quilt Lily used to protect her artwork during transport. Together, they scrambled to cover the paintings, the wind fighting them every step of the way. The canvas frames were awkward and unwieldy, and the quilt kept slipping from their grasp, becoming a soggy, unwieldy mess. Rain plastered Lily's hair to her face, blurring her vision. Her fingers fumbled with the edges of the quilt, trying to secure it against the onslaught. Sam, ever the comedian, was making a valiant effort, but even his usual lightheartedness was strained. "Think of it as a free car wash for your art," he yelled over the roar of the storm, his voice tight with worry. Lily managed a weak smile. "Very funny, Sam." They huddled under the inadequate shelter of the quilt, the rain drumming against the fabric like 1,000 tiny fists. The cobblestones became a swirling river, carrying leaves and debris past their makeshift haven. The wind howled, rattling the frames of the covered paintings. Lily shivered, not entirely from the cold. Fear gnawed at her. Fear for her art, fear for her livelihood, fear for the future that sometimes felt as uncertain as this storm. Sam pulled her closer, his arm a reassuring weight around her shoulders. "Hey," he said, his voice softer now, the humor gone. "It's okay. We'll get through this. We always do." She leaned into him, grateful for his warmth and unwavering support. Looking at his face, pale and damp, but filled with concern for her, a spark of her usual resilience flickered back to life. "You know," she said, her voice barely audible above the storm, "this is actually kind of romantic." Sam choked out a laugh. "Romantic? We're soaked to the bone, surrounded by a potential catastrophe, and you think this is romantic?" "Well," Lily said, a mischievous glint returning to her eyes, "it's certainly memorable." They sat in silence for a moment, listening to the fury of the storm. The rain showed no signs of letting up. Despite the discomfort and uncertainty, a sense of camaraderie settled between them, a shared understanding forged in the face of adversity. They were in this together, weathering the storm, one soggy, memorable moment at a time. And somehow, knowing that made the deluge a little less terrifying. A mysterious figure. The heavens released their grip as suddenly as they had seized it. A weak but resolute sun knifed through the dispersing cloud cover, arching a vibrant rainbow across the afternoon sky. Lily's breath hitched, the sting of sluggish commerce and bone-deep weariness momentarily forgotten. "Sam, look," she whispered, gesturing skyward. Sam, who'd been obsessively polishing the already gleaming display case, straightened. "Whoa," he breathed, genuine astonishment coloring his tone. "Double rainbow. Jackpot, right?" Lily squeezed his hand, offering a silent prayer of hope. "Fingers crossed. We could use one." The spectrum surrendered to the sky's pale canvas, leaving behind the scent of rain-kissed earth. A playful breeze stirred the leaves of the plane trees edging the park, shaking loose diamond droplets in a glittering shower. The air felt crisp, reborn. Yet the buoyant feeling proved ephemeral. A long shadow stretched over their stall. Lily's pulse quickened. She lifted her gaze. He stood like a figure hewn from granite. Tall, with shoulders like a linebacker, his face bore the deep calligraphy of a life lived hard. A dark, impeccably tailored suit looked incongruous amid the park's weekend casual. His eyes, chips of glacial ice, locked onto Lily. Sam subtly moved, placing himself protectively before Lily, a gesture of unspoken solidarity. He swallowed, throat suddenly dry. Usually, his charm was a reliable shield against awkwardness, but this man radiated a palpable power that stifled his customary banter. "Can we help you, sir?" Sam's voice betrayed a tremor. The man remained silent, his gaze sweeping the artwork on display. Lily's prints of charming creatures, her vivid cityscapes, and the delicate watercolors depicting floral life. Each movement was measured, his presence dominating their small corner of the park. A shiver danced down Lily's spine, despite the sun's warming efforts. Prospective buyer? Or something far more disquieting? His expression was an unreadable mask. She offered a wan, tentative smile, but it felt flimsy and forced. Finally, his attention settled on a small canvas portraying a lone wolf howling at a blood-red moon. An earlier piece, rawer and more visceral than her recent output, she'd almost left it behind, deeming it too bleak. Sam had championed its inclusion, arguing that it showcased a different facet of her artistry. "Who painted this?" His voice was a low rumble, a seismic tremor in the air. Lily stepped forward, her hands clasped tight. "I did," she breathed, her voice barely audible. He shifted his piercing gaze to her. "You." Not a question, but a declaration, laden with cryptic meaning. He scrutinized her features, his gaze lingering on the smudges beneath her eyes, the pallor of her complexion. Sam cleared his throat, shattering the strained silence. "It's one of Lily's best," he said a beat too quickly. "She's remarkably gifted." The man dismissed Sam with a glance. He reached out, his fingers strong and weathered, and gently brushed the canvas's surface. "Why a wolf?" Lily hesitated, feeling strangely exposed. I don't know," she stammered. "It just surfaced. I suppose I felt like the wolf. Isolated, yet unbroken." He nodded slowly, as if deciphering a hidden code. "Resilience is paramount." He paused, his gaze flickering to the vanished rainbow, particularly when weathering a storm. He lingered, a palpable tension emanating from him. Fear mingled with a peculiar fascination within Lily. She couldn't dismiss the notion that this encounter transcended mere chance. At last, he straightened, his gaze returning to Lily. "I will purchase it," he stated, his tone admitting no debate. "And I may return. You possess a gift." He reached into his jacket, extracting a thick roll of currency. He stripped off several bills, exceeding the painting's price by a wide margin. He placed the money on the table, not bothering to count, his eyes fixed on Lily. He picked up the artwork, cradling it carefully. "Thank you," Lily managed, her voice still shaky. He offered a curt nod, a brusque acknowledgement, then pivoted and vanished into the throng, his departure as silent and enigmatic as his arrival. Lily and Sam exchanged a stunned look. "What was that?" Sam whispered, eyes wide with disbelief. Lily shook her head, still reeling from the encounter. "I have no idea." But as she watched him disappear, a conviction settled within her that their lives had undergone an irreversible shift. And perhaps not for the better. Unveiling the hero, a ripple of anticipation coursed through the throng, like a sudden shiver across a field of wheat. Heads swiveled, phones ignited, each screen a tiny spotlight aimed at the unfolding drama. The bitter, generous to a fault all evening, raised a hand, which lingered near his fedora's edge. The air crackled with an almost palpable suspense. He lifted the hat away. A communal intake of breath hushed the plaza. Then, with measured slowness, he removed the dark glasses. It was him, Jason Statham. Lily's mouth fell open. She felt Sam's familiar effervescence checked as his fingers tightened on hers. The stunned silence around them fractured, the crowd surging forward in a wave of disbelief and fervent adoration. Camera flashes exploded, a strobe light frenzy illuminating the scene. Unfazed by the burgeoning chaos, Statham offered a subtle, almost bashful smile. All right, he rumbled, his voice somehow slicing through the rising clamor. Give a young lady a bit of breathing room. Remarkably, they complied, receding to carve a small haven around Lily and Sam. Statham descended from the makeshift stage, his gaze immediately finding Lily's. He moved toward her with an unstudied grace that belied his sculpted physique. In person, he was even more iconic. The piercing blue gaze, the ever-present shadow of stubble, a charisma that radiated contained power. Lily, isn't it? He inquired, extending a hand. Still reeling, Lily managed a shaky nod and took his hand, surprised by its firm clasp. I can't believe it's really you. Believe it, he quipped with a wink. He released her hand, diverting his attention to the art displayed on the easels. He progressed deliberately, studying each canvas with a focused intensity that set Lily's pulse racing. He paused before her storm-tossed lighthouse, the piece into which she'd channeled all her anxieties and aspirations. He traced a weathered finger across its surface. This is extraordinary. The light you've captured, the palpable sense of movement. Genuinely remarkable. A wave of color washed over Lily's face. The praise, coming from him, felt like an affirmation beyond her wildest dreams. Thank you, she breathed, her voice little more than a whisper. Sam, ever the ardent supporter, piped up. She's incredible, Mr. Statham. She's been painting to fundraise for her. He hesitated, a worried glance directed at Lily. Statham turned back, his expression softening with concern. For what, Lily? He encouraged gently. Lily inhaled deeply. Meeting his gaze, the shock receded, replaced by a strange sense of calm. For my chemotherapy, she confessed, the words sounding less insurmountable, less burdensome. I have leukemia. The surrounding clamor seemed to diminish, leaving them cocooned in a hushed understanding. Statham's features tightened, a fleeting shadow of pain crossing his face. I'm very sorry to hear that, he said, his voice low and sincere. Truly, but what I see here tells me you're a fighter. He swept a hand toward the paintings. This isn't merely talent, Lily. This is resilience made visible. This is hope painted on a canvas. He scanned the displayed artwork, his gaze lingering on each piece. He seemed to be absorbing the very essence of the energy she had poured into them. So, he said, pivoting back to Lily, a newfound determination gleaming in his eyes. Tell me more about this effort. How much is needed? An act of kindness. Sunlight warmed Lily's skin as she positioned her easel, a promising start to a day for painting. The park thrummed with life, a symphony of children's glee and birdsong. Yet, a nagging worry lingered, a shadow against the vibrant scene. The recent chemo had left her depleted, and the looming medical bill pressed down on her like a lead weight. Sam, ever attuned to her spirit, settled beside her with an iced coffee. All right, Monet, let's see what you're creating today. Something to make the Louvre jealous. Lily offered a wan smile, accepting the drink with gratitude. Just trying to capture the fountain's shimmer, she murmured, indicating her canvas. Nothing grand. Suddenly, a figure loomed, casting a long shadow. Lily glanced up, meeting the gaze of a man whose face was partly hidden by a baseball cap. Tall, with a distinct scar etching his brow, he radiated a compelling stillness. Recognition dawned slowly. Excuse me, he began, his voice a deep timbre. I've been watching you work. You possess remarkable talent. A blush bloomed on Lily's cheeks as she instinctively smoothed her ponytail. Thank you, she replied, taken aback. Compliments were always welcome, but his felt uniquely genuine, piercing through her guarded reserve. He swept his hand towards the paintings displayed on the blanket. How much for the entire collection? Lily's eyes widened. The entire collection? The thought hadn't crossed her mind. Well, she faltered, quickly calculating the individual prices. It would probably total around $500. He nodded slowly. I'll take them. He extracted a thick roll of cash. Here's 10,000. Her brush tumbled from her fingers. $10,000, she echoed, her voice barely audible. She shot a look at Sam, whose jaw hung slack in disbelief. Yes, he confirmed, a hint of amusement curving his lips. Consider it an investment. And please, he added, his gaze locking with hers, conveying unexpected depth, use it for whatever you need. He jotted something on a card and presented it to Lily. My contact information. Reach out if you require assistance. And never stop painting. The world needs your vision. With surprising gentleness, he gathered the paintings, his muscular arms cradling the canvases, and melted into the bustling park. Lily stared at the card. Jason Statham. The name blurred before her. She looked at Sam, then at the empty space where her art had been, then back at Sam. Did that just happen? She whispered. Sam, finally regaining composure, hooped, scattering a nearby group of pigeons. He enveloped Lily in a bear hug, twirling her. Lily, you're set. Not Buy an Island set, but Beat Cancer set. This is incredible. Tears welled in Lily's eyes. Relief surged through her, a potent wave threatening to overwhelm her. Treatment was now within reach. Maybe even a decent wig. Within minutes, the news raced through the park like a live current. A dog walker shared the story on a local blog. A teenager's TikTok captured the entire exchange. Suddenly, the park buzzed with excited whispers. People pointed, some even offering congratulations. Is it true? Did the Jason Statham really buy your paintings? A woman with vibrant pink hair asked, eyes wide. Lily, still in disbelief, could only nod, clutching the wad of money and shaking hands. Online, the frenzy intensified. The TikTok video exploded, garnering millions of views in hours. News outlets amplified the tale of the actor's unexpected generosity. Lily's dormant online art store ignited with activity. Messages of support poured into her inbox, each one a tiny beacon of hope. Sam, ever practical, was already orchestrating. We need a professional website, he declared, pacing. And someone to handle shipping. And top-tier art supplies, definitely. Lily laughed, the sound lighter than it had been in months. The oppressive anxiety had dissipated, replaced by a burgeoning sense of possibility. The future remained unclear, but for the first time in a long time, she could see a glimmer of hope illuminating the path ahead. Thanks to a celebrity's surprising act, Lily had a chance to truly fight. Giving back. The doctor's report felt brittle in Lily's grip, the paper fluttering like a trapped bird. So, improvement? The scans are actually showing? Her voice wavered, barely audible. Anya Sharma's smile radiated warmth, crinkling the corners of her eyes. Significant, Lily. The chemotherapy is taking hold. Your white blood cell count is rebounding, and the tumor, it's diminished. A dizzy spell threatened to buckle her knees. Lily grasped the exam table, her fingers bone white. A wave of relief, so profound it felt like shackles dissolving, washed over her. Words fail me. Then keep fighting, Dr. Sharma urged gently. The journey isn't over, but this is a triumph. Embrace it. Embrace it. The phrase resonated within Lily as she left the clinic. How did one even begin to celebrate such momentous news? A raucous party felt jarring, somehow inappropriate. This wasn't solely her victory. It belonged to everyone who had bolstered her, believed in her, guided her to this juncture. That evening, perched at her makeshift desk, an upcycled ironing board speckled with vibrant pigments, Lily scrutinized the dwindling digits on her online account. Sales had tapered off since the Jason Statham kerfuffle, the initial surge subsiding. Still, a considerable sum remained, exceeding her wildest imaginings. An idea sparked, a gentle ember glowing in her chest. She recalled the drab, characterless walls of the pediatric oncology ward during her own ordeal. The listless expressions, the hypnotic hum of screens, the palpable anxiety clinging to the air. What if she could infuse that space with a bit of vibrancy, a spark of happiness? The following morning, armed with a shopping list fit to rival a scroll, Lily ventured into the art supply emporium. The mingled aromas of linseed oil and spirits tickled her nose as she wandered the aisles, her eyes brimming with possibilities. She selected luminous watercolors, durable sketch pads, a spectrum of colored pencils, and tubs of pliable modeling compound. She even snagged a container of shimmering glitter glue, pure, unadulterated joy in a jar. As she heaved the overflowing bags into her car, Lily felt an unfamiliar current surging through her. It wasn't the frenetic buzz of a successful sale, nor the gnawing unease of a doctor's appointment. This was a serene, resolute sense of purpose. The children's hospital was familiar, achingly so. The antiseptic tang, the muted conversations, the anxious faces etched with worry. A cascade of memories resurfaced. But this time, Lily wasn't there as a patient. She was there to give back, to contribute. A volunteer coordinator, a genial woman named Mrs. Davison, greeted her and led her to the playroom. Despite the cheerful, brightly hued furniture, the space felt somewhat stark and sparsely furnished. A few tattered board games languished in a corner, and a smattering of crayons lay scattered across a table. Lily's heart twisted. Together, they emptied the art supplies, arranging them across a table. The children, drawn by the sudden influx of color and activity, edged closer, their eyes wide with intrigue. A small boy, his head recently shaved, tentatively reached out to touch a tube of cerulean blue paint. A girl clutching a well-worn teddy bear timidly requested a rose-colored crayon. Lily's smile was radiant, a genuine offering from the heart that lit up her face. "Absolutely," she replied. "They're all for you." Within moments, the playroom underwent a metamorphosis. Children sketched fantastical beasts, painted vibrant rainbows, and sculpted whimsical figures from clay. Laughter bubbled through the air, banishing the sterile silence. Lily sat amongst them, offering words of encouragement and gentle guidance, her own heart swelling with a joy she hadn't experienced in months. As she watched a little girl with pigtails meticulously apply shimmering flakes to a drawing of a unicorn, Lily understood that she had discovered the ideal way to commemorate her victory. It wasn't about monetary gain or public recognition. It was about making a tangible difference, no matter how small, in the lives of others. It was about transforming her suffering into something beautiful, something that injected a ray of light into a world desperately craving it. This, she realized, was a masterpiece far more precious than any canvas she could create. A dream realized. Lily stirred her brush in a pool of phthalo blue, the vivid pigment a visual echo of the butterflies fluttering in her stomach. The exhibition, tomorrow. A kaleidoscope of hope. The title felt a touch sentimental, yet authentic. It held within it the essence of all she'd poured into each canvas. The tremors of fear, the soaring notes of optimism, the raw, untamed spirit that fueled her art. Her usually tidy apartment had morphed into a bustling, artistic hub. Canvases, a riot of color, rested against every surface. Some still glistened wetly, others dried at their own pace, each panel a powerful testament to her perseverance. The mingled smells of linseed oil and turpentine saturated the air, a scent that had, surprisingly, become a comfort. Maya, ever the whirlwind of support, flitted from painting to painting, affixing neatly printed labels. Right, sunset over serenity done. Whispers of the wind, labeled. The dance of daffodils. She paused, nudging Lily playfully. Seriously, you in alliteration have a thing going on. A nervous giggle escaped Lily. In my defense, it adds a certain polish, no? Maya's eye roll was softened by a genuine smile. They don't need polish. They're stunning. People will adore them. Doubt, a persistent shadow, flickered at the edges of her resolve. But what if they don't? What if I sell nothing? Maya stilled, her hands finding Lily's shoulders. Listen to me, Lily Rodriguez. You've invested everything in these canvases. It's not just about sales. It's about sharing your vision, your strength, your story. And it deserves to be heard. Lily inhaled deeply, trying to absorb Maya's unwavering confidence, a potent balm against her rising anxiety. The gallery air buzzed with murmuring voices. Stark white walls amplified the vibrant spectacle of Lily's paintings. Attendees, cradling wine glasses, wandered through the space, their faces illuminated by carefully positioned lights. Lily, tucked away near the refreshments, felt like an intruder. Could they truly connect with what she'd created? Her gaze met Mrs. Davison, her former art teacher, who beamed with pride from across the room. Even when Lily struggled with self-doubt, Mrs. Davison had seen her potential. A wave of warmth washed over her. Perhaps, just perhaps, this was really happening. A man approached, smile lines etching his eyes. He introduced himself as a critic for a local arts publication. Lily tensed. Here it was, the moment of judgment. He gestured toward Whispers of the Wind, an abstract swirl of cerulean and verdant hues. This piece is quite striking, he observed, his tone thoughtful. There's such raw energy, an almost tangible sense of hope. What inspired it? Taken aback by his authentic interest, Lily recounted the painting's genesis. A breezy afternoon in the park, the feeling of liberation that bloomed amidst her struggle. He listened, head nodding gently, and at the story's end, simply said, "Thank you for sharing that." The evening dissolved into a blur of faces, snippets of conversations, and fleeting moments of connection. A painting sold, then another, and then another. Each transaction felt like a small triumph, a recognition of her art and her journey. A sudden hush rippled through the crowd near the entrance. Curiosity piqued, Lily strained to see. Then she saw him, Jason Statham. He stood there, a commanding presence, his gaze sweeping the room before settling on her. He moved through the throng, his presence drawing every eye. As he neared, Lily's pulse quickened. It felt like eons ago she'd shyly shown him her work. "Lily," his voice, a resonant baritone, rumbled. "Good to see you again." "Jason," she managed, barely a whisper. What brings you here?" He offered a genuine, disarming smile. "I read about your exhibition. I couldn't miss it." He indicated Kaleidoscope of Hope, the painting that had launched her career. "It's incredible. You possess such a rare gift." Tears pricked at Lily's eyes. "Thank you," she choked out, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for everything. For buying that first piece, for giving me a chance when nobody else would. It meant the world to me." He drew closer, his expression earnest. "Lily, you're in all of this. You are the artist who brought these stunning works into existence. I simply recognize your talent, and I was happy to help." He paused, then winked. "I like the Kaleidoscope of Hope painting. I'll take it." A wave of elation flooded her, so profound it nearly buckled her knees. She had done it. She had confronted her fears, channeled her pain into something beautiful, and shared it with the world. Surrounded by her art and the people who believed in her, Lily knew, in that instant, that her dream had come to life.